Hello, ma'am. Will you be giving this macro training today? No, you're not gonna do it? Okay, fine. I'll just do it. Hello, gorgeous people. I'm so excited that you're here and that you want to learn more about macros and how to calculate your macronutrients. Hopefully you do not mind the special guest here. So I'm going to be honest with you. I started off macro month because I wanted to teach you everything there is to know about macronutrients, and I realized that this subject is very complicated, and this video is no different. Like, I want to tell you exactly how to calculate your macros and all of that stuff, but I feel like I need to keep it to the basics or else I'm going to confuse a lot of people. So in this video I'm going to be going over the basics, but if you do want to take your knowledge on macros to that next level, if you want to learn more about how to track your macros, how to get the macros that work for your body, how to know when to change up your macros, and really what to do if your macros are not working for you, then I will be releasing something very soon that gives me a chance to really dive way deeper into this topic. So the project that I'm referring to is the one that I have codenamed Project Macros, but really what it is a Macro Masterclass that really just gives me a chance to dive way deeper into this topic and tell you everything that you need to know to really master macros and to really be able to change your body and really change your health for the better. So I'm gonna just throw that out there, but for the purpose of this macro training, I want to keep things very basic. I want to first tell you exactly what you need to do to calculate your macros accurately. Now, if you have been trying to calculate your macros before and they just haven't been working for you, or you feel like you have been trying to lose weight for a while but it's just not working for you, I'm going to, at the end of this video, also go into what could potentially be happening, why your macros aren't working for you. I'm also going to be diving into exactly what you need to do to solve it. But first, I want to keep things basic. So first, let's go over why you even should be calculating your macros in the first place, why macros are better than just counting your calories, and why any of it matters in the first place. So I think calories are pretty simple. In order to lose any fat, you should be burning off more calories than you're taking in. You've probably heard this before, but it just kind of makes sense. If you are not burning off more calories than you're taking in, there's just no way that you can lose weight. So if that is the case, why not just stop at calories? Why not just make sure that you are eating 20% less than you're taking in and call it a day? And the reason for this is honestly just because a person who will eat like 1,500 calories of just carbs versus a person who eats just 1,500 calories worth of protein is going to look completely different. So the person who just eats 1,500 calories worth of carbs, they might be able to lose weight, but honestly, carbs is just about energy. So if you're taking in a lot of energy but you're not using it, number one, it's just going to be way more probable that you'll be storing a lot of those carbs as fat if you're not using the energy. You're also giving your body a chance to constantly spike your blood level. You will just have constant inflammation and you just won't feel the best. But at the same time, since you don't have any protein in your body, you're not gonna give your body a chance to really develop some muscle. So on the flip side, if you're just eating protein, you're probably gonna be very lethargic because you're not gonna have any kind of energy. So these things definitely matter, because if you want to get toned, if you want to make sure that you're optimizing fat loss, if you want to really make sure that you have energy, if you want to make sure that your metabolism is running properly, if you want to make sure that you have a balanced diet, macros is going to be super important, because every single macronutrient, and the three macronutrients are carbs, proteins, and fats, these three macronutrients, they each serve a purpose, and you can kind of manipulate how you want your body to look, what you want your body to do by changing up the amount of each macronutrient that you put into your body. So that's just what macros are. That's just why they're important. So now I want to go over how to actually calculate your macros. So the first thing that you are going to do is figure out your total daily energy expenditure. The reason you want to figure out your total daily energy expenditure is because this is the amount of calories that you burn every single day. So like I mentioned, in order to lose weight, or even in order to build muscle, muscle or to maintain your physique, you want to first figure out how many calories you burn in a day. Because if you want to lose weight, then you'll have to eat less than that. If you want to maintain your figure, then you'll have to eat that exact amount. And if you want to only focus on building muscle, you're going to have to eat more than that. But the bottom line is that you have to figure out how many calories you're burning to then figure out exactly how many calories you need to be eating. Once we figure out how many calories you are burning, then we'll figure out how many calories you need to eat, and then we'll get into your macros. So in order to figure out your total daily energy expenditure, to keep things simple, we're just going to find a TDEE calculator. So the one that I prefer is the If It Fits Your Macros Total Daily Energy Expenditure calculator. So the first thing that you're going to do is you can type in TDEE calculator. It's actually the second result, and you're just going to type in the information. So it's going to ask you your gender, it's going to ask you how old you are, it's going to ask you your height, it's going to ask you your weight, all that good stuff. So first I just want you to put in all of your information. So once you go through that whole process, it's going to email you your total daily energy expenditure. Once you have that number, that's amazing, and the next step is actually to figure out your goals. So your calories and your macros are going to depend on what you're actually trying to accomplish. So you have to first figure out, do you want to lose weight? Or do you love your physique and you just want to stay exactly how you are? Do you want to just maintain your physique? Or do you feel like you're lean enough and now your main focus is just to put on muscle? So you first have to figure out exactly what your goal is. If you want to lose weight, if you want to be in a fat cutting stage, then what you are going to be doing is you're going to be cutting, you're going to be in a caloric deficit. If you want to maintain your physique, then you're going to be at your maintenance calories. And if you want to put on muscle, if you are lean enough but you just want to put on muscle, then you're going to be bulking. So I want you to keep these keywords in mind because we will be using them throughout this whole formula. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you what you should be doing for each of the three, whether you're cutting, maintaining, or bulking. So I'm going to start off with an example of if I was to cut. So if I was to cut and I got my TDE and it says that my total daily energy expenditure is 2,000 calories. If I was to cut, then I would be needing to eat 20% less of these calories. So I would do 2,000 calories times 0.20. Oh, what the hell happened? Oh. So if I was to cut, I would do a 20% caloric deficit. You can do anywhere between a 10 to 20% caloric deficit. So let's just go ahead and stick to the traditional 20% caloric deficit. So I times 2,000 times 0.2 because I'm trying to find out what 20% of that is. So now I realize that 20% of that is going to be 400 calories. So I have to eat 400 calories less in order to be in a caloric deficit. So I'm going to go ahead and do 2,000 minus 400, and this is going to be my cutting calories. If I want to maintain my weight, then I would eat exactly my total daily energy expenditure, because in order to maintain your weight, in order to maintain your physique, all you have to do is eat exactly how much you're burning off. So that one is pretty easy. And then if you want to bulk, so if you want to put on muscle, then you're going to eat 20% more of what you burn. So we already figured out that 20% of 2,000 is 400 calories. So my bulking calories is going to be 2,400 calories. And just to make this look good, I'm just going to put it all like that. So now that we've figured out my calories for if I want to cut, maintain, or bulk, the next step is to figure out my macros. So my macronutrients are, again, protein, fats, and carbs. Okay, so in order to figure out these three things, the first thing that I'm going to do is figure out my protein. So I'm going to go ahead and act as though I'm going to be cutting. So in order for me to figure out my protein, I want you to do 1 gram per pound of body weight. So since I am 120 pounds, I'm going to times that by 1, and that's going to be 120 grams. So I should be eating 120 grams of protein. If you are though like 220 pounds and you feel like that is just way too much, you cannot consume 220 grams, you can even lower it to 0.9 or 0.8. So if I was about 220, I might do it times 0.8 instead of times 1, and I'll get 176 grams. So you want to keep your protein high for a few reasons. The first thing is because you want more protein, especially if you're active and especially if you weightlift, because with protein and carbs, this is going to help you build muscle. So if you want to be toned, if you want to really make sure that you are defined, you're going to want to have high protein. You also want protein just because it's going to keep you full, and it's also the one macronutrient that takes the most amount of calories to digest. So that's another reason why it's pretty good for weight loss as well. So that's why when anyone tries to lose weight, I always suggest a high protein diet. In regards to your fats, you're going to want to do your body weight. So again, I'm just going to do 120 times 0.35 to 0.50. So you get to pick the range. And this is going to depend on a few things. The first one is honestly just preference. I personally am Lebanese, so I grew up eating a Mediterranean diet. So I love to include a lot of fatty foods into my diet just because that's how I've grown up. So I love salmon, I love olive oil, I love pine nuts, I love including, a bunch of these foods into my diet. So I like to make sure that I'm eating at least 50 grams of fat. So I like to have about 0.4. So that's about 48. I could even do 0.45 and then get 54. But my point is that you can do 35 to about 50 grams. And especially if you feel like your hormones are a little bit off, if you feel like your period's a little bit irregular, if you feel like you need to heal your hormones, I would especially suggest a higher fat content. So for the purpose of this, I'm just going to go ahead and do 0.45. But at the bare minimum, I want you to make sure that you're eating at least 40 grams of fat. So that's just my suggestion for fats. So again, it's going to be 0.35 to 0.50 times your body weight. For this one, it's going to be 0.8 to 1 times your body weight. So I'm going to keep the formulas out here. So now we have the grams for protein and fat, and the last one to do is carbs. Basically, your carbs is just going to be whatever you have left. So let's go over this. So I know that I have 1,600 calories, and I know that I should be eating 120 grams of protein and 54 grams of fat. So what is left? So the first thing that we have to do is convert these grams into calories to figure out how many calories we have left. So for every gram of protein, 1 gram of protein equals 4 calories. When it comes to fat, 1 gram of fat equals 9 calories. So knowing this, I'm going to times 120. Oh, sorry, I forgot to put this. So knowing this, I'm going to times 120 times 4 and get 480. And then I'm also going to times 54 grams of fat by 9, and that's going to be 486. Now I'm going to just put these all together and figure out how many calories that is total. So it's 966 calories. So I'm going to take my cutting calories, my total calories, minus 966 calories, and now I know that I have 634 calories left to use for my carbs. So basically, just to reiterate this whole process in case it was a little bit confusing, I'm just trying to figure out how many calories I have left in order to use towards my carbs. So since I know that 1 gram of protein is 4 calories and 1 gram of fat is 9 calories, I just times this by 4, I times this by 9 and added the two together, and I realized that I've already used 966 calories, and now I know that I have 634 calories left. And because I know that for every gram of carb is actually 4 calories as well, all I have to do to get my carbs is divide 634 by 4, and now I realize I have 158.5 grams of carbs. I'm actually going to round that up to 159 grams, and those are my macros. So honestly, no matter if you're doing this, no matter if you're doing this, it's going to be the same exact process. You're first going to do your protein, you're going to do your fat, and then you're going to figure out your carbs. So the only thing that's really going to change is probably going to be your carbs. You're probably going to have a lot more calories to use towards your carbs, but since you know that you have a lot more calories, you can even increase your fat a little bit, and you can even go ahead and increase your protein a little bit as well. So if you've been using 0.8, you can even go up to 1, to times it towards your body fat. So this is exactly how to figure out your calories, and this is exactly how to figure out your macros. I hope that was super helpful. And now the only thing that I also want to talk to you about is what to do if you feel like your body is resisting fat loss. So the problem with these macro calculators and even this formula is that, let's say that you really want to lose weight and you go through this whole process, you figure out your macros, and then you just realize like, okay, these macros are just not working for me. I don't know what's going on, but I'm not losing any fat. And the main reason that this could be happening is honestly just if you have some damage towards your metabolism. Now this sounds really scary, but it's honestly, you can fix it. And for the most part, the majority of the people that I see, their metabolism is never permanently damaged. You can always repair your metabolism and you can always speed it up. But the problem with this is that once you figure out your macros, if they're not working for you, you might have to, instead of focusing on cutting or instead of focusing on bulking, you're going to have to focus on repairing your metabolism first and then going into a fat loss stage or a bulk phase, whatever you actually want to do, whatever your goals are. So the reason that your metabolism can get damaged is for 2 reasons. The first one is if you've been under eating very drastically, if you've been eating like very low calories, or if you've been in a caloric deficit for a long period of time. So like I just calculated, my cutting calories is 1,600 calories. So that's, great and all, but if I was to do that for 5 months, then my metabolism would be shot. So I'm gonna try to make this sound as simple and as easy as possible, but the reason that both of these things, so under eating and being in a caloric deficit for too long, the reason that both of these slow down your metabolism is just because when you take in less and less food, your body starts to catch on to that. And let's say that you were starting off taking 1,800 calories, so your body's like, oh, okay, now I understand I get 1,800 calories every single day, so now I know that I can effectively burn 1,800 calories every single day and I'll be totally fine because that's how much I get in. So if you want to lose any weight, let's say you drop your calories to about 1,500. So what's going to happen is that your body gets used to a new calorie. So it realizes like, hey, I can't keep my metabolism super fast anymore because I used to get 1,800 calories, but now I'm getting only 1,500 calories. So if I keep my metabolism this fast, then I'm gonna burn through these calories way too fast and I'm gonna run out of energy. So instead I have to slow down my metabolism in order to adjust to what I'm getting in. So if you've been cutting for too long, your body adapts and it slows down your metabolism. And if you're under eating too much, your body gets scared and thinks like, I'm only getting this amount, so I have to slow down my metabolism. So if you just continue dieting, if you continue under eating, then what happens is that your metabolism gets so slow that you actually get a little bit of metabolic damage. Again, this is nothing to be scared about because you can definitely revamp your metabolism. But again, instead of focusing on losing fat, instead of focusing on building muscle, what you should be focusing on right now is revving up your metabolism again. And I'm going to teach you exactly how to do this. So let's go back to all of our numbers and I'll show you exactly what to do if you feel like you are in this situation. First thing that you're going to have to do is go back to our calories that we calculated for ourselves. So we know that our total daily energy expenditure here, just as an example, is 2,000 calories. So the one that we actually want to focus on if we need to repair our metabolism is our maintenance calories. So what I want you to do if you need to repair your metabolism is actually first track your calories. I want you to track your calories for a solid week, and I want you to take all of those numbers and add them together and find the average. So I want you to average out all of the calories that you've been consuming for an entire week to understand how much you've been averagely taking in. It doesn't have to be perfect. I don't want you to like monitor yourself or make any changes. I literally just want you to figure out how much you've been consistently taking in. So let's say that I go ahead and I figure out that I've been eating 1,200 calories pretty much like the entire week. So after I averaged it out, it comes out to about 1,200 calories. So now that I figured out my average and now that I figured out my goal, which is 2,000 calories, the next thing that I need to do is slowly work my way up to my goal. The reason that this is your goal is because you want to give your body more and more food so it starts to learn that there is no shortage on food and that it can operate at a fast pace again. So it does not have to be a slow metabolism, but the only way that you're really going to teach your metabolism that it doesn't have to be slow is if you give it a lot of food that it can actually metabolize. So it starts to realize like, hey, there's no fear. I can actually rev up my metabolism and I'm going to be okay. So the only problem though is that you cannot just go from 1,200 calories straight to 2,000 calories because number one, your stomach is also adapting to how much you're eating. So if you're only eating 1,200 calories, there's no way in hell you're going to just be able to put down 2,000 calories like consistently. You're going to be way too full for this. But also, if you were able to just start eating 2,000 calories every single day, you would gain a bunch of weight because your metabolism is at such a slow pace right now that any extra food is just going to store as fat. So you would gain a lot of fat instantly. So instead, the way to rev up your metabolism and the way to do it with minimum weight gain is to slowly do it so you're giving your body time to adjust to these new calories. So what I want you to do is increase your calories by 200 calories every single month. Now, where these calories are coming from is going to be mostly from your fat and then some from your carbs. The reason I want you to increase your fat is just because if you have some sort of metabolic damage, that also probably means that you have some issue with your hormones as well. And we want to make sure that your hormones are healthy as well. So we're going to increase your fat since your fat is more so responsible for your hormones. We're going to increase your fat and we're also going to increase your carbs as well to make sure that you have energy. So we're mostly going to take it from there, and you can kind of figure out, since you know that 1 gram of fat is 9 calories, since you know that 1 gram of carbs is 4 calories, you can kind of split this 200 however you'd like based on that knowledge. So basically, it's February, okay? So basically what you're gonna do is in February, you're gonna eat 1,400 calories. In March, you're going to eat 1,600 calories. What's after March? April, you're going to eat 1,800 calories. And then by April, May, you'll finally have reached 2,000 calories. Now, once you hit your 2,000 calorie mark, again, your body needs time to adjust to these macros, and your body needs to understand that this food is not going anywhere, that you are now able to consume 2,000 calories and that your metabolism can stay high. So since your body needs time to really understand this concept, you need to at least be at your maintenance calories for 3 months. So May, June, July. Once you have stuck to your maintenance calories for 3 months, then you can do whatever the hell you want because your metabolism should be revved up by now. Your metabolism should be functioning super properly by now, and you should be able to burn off the fat that you want. Even if you don't have some metabolic damage, I would still recommend that you figure out how many calories you're eating now and that you slowly inch your way up to whatever your goal is if you are very far away from it. So for me, for example, I have been bulking and I was ended off my bulk at 2,300 calories. So now my cutting calories is 1,600, but I am not gonna go from 2,300 to 1,600 calories because that would literally, I would be starving and it would just not be good. So I'm slowly decreasing my calories until I get to my cutting calories. So you can do the same thing whether you have metabolic damage or not, just because it makes the whole process more sustainable and makes it easier for your body. Hopefully this whole process makes sense to you. If you want to learn more about macros, again, my Macro Masterclass will be coming up very soon. But in the meantime, if you really feel like this somewhat makes sense to you, but you don't really know if you have metabolic damage and you really just want to consult with a fitness and health expert, and you really just want someone to really look into your health and make sure that you're doing everything exactly right and you're finally ready to really get the results that you want, I am opening up my one-on-one coaching to a few clients next month. So if you are interested, you can apply below. But other than that, I hope you really have learned so much from this training, and I really hope that it has helped you get unstuck. So if you have any other questions, just let me know. Other than that, love you. Goodbye.